Hey and welcome to the Daily Arsenal News Show. Let's begin with our daily news. Mikel Arteta admits Takehiro Tomiyasu did something he'd never seen before versus Man City. Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta has now admitted Takehiro Tomiyasu did something he'd never seen him do before last night. In the Gunners' biggest game of the season, they fell short against title rivals Manchester City. Speaking to the press via Arsenal's official website, Arteta was reviewing his side's performance. Arsenal went into last night's match knowing that whatever the result, they'd still have a game in hand over their rivals. It's a match they now desperately need to win, as City jumped ahead of them on goal difference at full time. The first goal came as a result of an error from Takehiro Tomiyasu. He was thrown into the side ahead of Ben White by Arteta, but the decision failed to pay off. Jack Grealish put Tomiyasu under pressure in possession, and his back pass was intercepted by Kevin De Bruyne. The Belgian is the last player you want to give the ball away to, and he made no mistake slotting past Aaron Ramsdale. It would have been a satisfying goal for Pep Guardiola, who was seen shooting at Grealish to keep the defender under pressure. Arteta has now admitted it's a mistake he's never seen Takehiro Tomiyasu make. He will be hoping he doesn't repeat it in the future. The Arsenal manager was asked about Tomiyasu's mistake after the game and said, "I don't know if it's experience or it's bad luck. I have never seen Tomiyasu make that back pass in 7 years and he did it today. It's part of it, and obviously they have the quality to punish you." The £56,000 a week defender has had to patiently wait for opportunities in the league this season. His versatility has meant he's been Arteta's go-to man if either White or Zinchenko has been unavailable. Arteta would have been pleased to see Martin Odegaard comforting Takehiro Tomiyasu after his mistake yesterday. Unfortunately, it proved to be a costly one, and the pressure is now really on to maintain their title challenge. BBC pundit praises Aaron Ramsdale despite Arsenal defeat to Man City. Matthew Upson praised Aaron Ramsdale during the second half of Arsenal's defeat to Manchester City, telling BBC Sport that he did brilliantly to deny Erling Haaland on one particular occasion. Gunners fans are coming to terms with an agonizing loss against Pep Guardiola's side. They still remain in pole position to win the title as they have a game in hand. However, City have put themselves at the summit of the table and have struck a psychological blow. The citizens certainly seemed to step on the gas in the second half. They scored twice and they had further chances. It's also fair to say that Arsenal were the architects of their own downfall at times. The likes of Gabriel and Zinchenko cost the side with poor passes out of defense, and one City opportunity came when Zinchenko was sloppy in possession. The ball ended up with Haaland inside the box, and that often means a goal for Guardiola's man, one way or another. However, Ramsdale did superbly to deny the Norwegian, and that prompted Upson to praise the goalkeeper for bailing his teammate out. Arsenal are currently enduring a poor run of form. They have now not won any of their last 4 in all competitions, and having gone into the weekend with an outside chance of going 11 points clear after the City game, they now find themselves level with the citizens. How they respond is going to be crucial. They now travel to Aston Villa and Leicester, and on paper, it does appear that they now have a favourable run. They do not play another of the traditional Big Six until early April. It really does feel that this could be a critical moment in deciding how Arsenal's season plays out. Mikel Arteta praises really good Jorginho despite defeat. Mikel Arteta says that he thinks Arsenal midfielder Jorginho was brilliant last night despite falling to defeat against Manchester City. The Gunners were the architects of their own downfall yesterday evening in North London as they gifted City 2 goals. Arteta's men eventually suffered a 3-1 loss after mistakes from both Takehiro Tomiyasu and Magalhaes. Arsenal were handed a huge blow before the match even kicked off as Thomas Partey was ruled out due to a muscle injury. It meant that Jorginho was handed his first start in a Gunners shirt, and Arteta was happy with the 31-year-old's display. Speaking to Arsenal's official website after the game, the Spaniard answered the question of whether Partey's absence affected his side. He said, We don't know. It's what happens. It's part of football. There are no excuses. I think Georgie played a really good game, and we'll have to assess Thomas to see how bad it is. Jorginho didn't put a foot wrong last night, but there is no doubt that Arsenal are a far better side when Partey is in the starting lineup. The £12 million man was brought in to provide Arteta with extra depth in midfield, and he proved he can step up in Partey's absence despite the result. The Gunners paid the price for two big mistakes on the night, and City punished them on both occasions. Arteta will be disappointed after his side dominated the game for the most part, with Edin Ketia wasting two huge opportunities. It will be a bitter pill to swallow for Arteta and his side, now sit level on points with City, but they do have a game in hand. The Spaniard will be hoping to turn Arsenal's recent form around after they have failed to pick up a win in their last three Premier League games. The Gunners will have to pick themselves up quickly as they face a trip to Villa Park this weekend, and despite a positive performance from Jorginho, they will be hoping that Partey is ready to return to action. Mikel Arteta admits Gabriel Jesus won't be returning for weeks yet. Mikel Arteta spoke about Gabriel Jesus' injury after Arsenal lost 3-1 to Manchester City in last night's huge title clash. Arsenal have faltered somewhat lately, although Edin Ketia has performed well and won the penalty Bukayo Saka scored last night to make it 1-1 at half-time. Jesus' return at the business end of the season would be much welcome for Arteta and Arsenal, but the Spaniard told the BBC the striker is still weeks away. Arteta said of Jesus, "He is in a good moment right now, but he hasn't even trained with the team, so still a few weeks away." Arsenal did have some attacking variety to bring off the bench last night, but they were not able to turn the game back their way. Being able to start Jesus and bring in Ketia off the bench would make such a difference, and it does seem that will be an option in April and May. City went back above Arsenal to top the league after last night's result, but Arsenal do have a game in hand and therefore control of the situation. The two clubs have got to play each other again before the end of the season, in the final week of April, by which time Jesus would hope to be back fit. Now it's all about how Arsenal respond to their first real blip of the campaign and the psychological blow of last night's defeat. Arsenal talent Bukayo Saka deemed best in the business despite loss to Manchester City. Arsenal star Bukayo Saka earned praise from BBC Sport pundit Matthew Upson in Wednesday's meeting with Manchester City. The Gunners hosted the citizens at the Emirates Stadium in a huge match at the top of the Premier League table. Arsenal went into the game just 3 points ahead of City, who were hoping to leapfrog Mikel Arteta's side to the summit. Sadly, it wasn't to be for Arsenal. The visitors eventually broke down the Gunners' resistance en route to a 3-1 win. While many of Arsenal's players fluttered to deceive, Saka was not one of them. The £70,000 a week forward drew his side level after Kevin De Bruyne had opened the scoring. It was a super penalty from Saka, who fired the ball right where Ederson had been pointing. Saka delivered an impressive display overall, giving Bernardo Silva a torrid time. So much so, in fact, that the City man fouled the Arsenal ace numerous times, eventually picking up a yellow card. After just 10 minutes, Upson said on BBC Radio 5 Live that Silva was up against one of the best in the business in terms of beating his man. He said, "Lazy lunge from Bernardo Silva. He's started the game brightly, but he's got to remember he is playing against Bukayo Saka, who 1-versus-1 in terms of twisting and turning out of situations is one of the best in the business. You have to be really careful." On the hour mark, Pep Guardiola moved Silva up to the right wing, likely saving him from a potential red card. Saka is already a superstar for Arsenal and England. It will be exciting to see just how good he will be at his peak in a few years' time. At the same time, he will be hurting right now due to the Gunners' loss. The result saw Arsenal slip off the top of the table, City leapfrogging them to the summit. However, there is still a long way to go, and the Gunners will regroup. What Josh Kroenke was spotted doing last night straight after Arsenal lost to Manchester City. Josh Kroenke was in attendance as Arsenal took on Manchester City in the biggest Premier League clash of the season last night. The Gunners went down 3-1 as City took over in the second half, landing a major blow in the chase for the title. The Evening Standard's Simon Collins tweeted after the game that Kroenke went into the dressing room after the defeat. The challenge for Arsenal now is to stay together during this run of patchy form because the pressure is only going to get more intense from here. It's now 1 point from their past 3 Premier League games, and the Europa League will soon kick back in, providing more fixture congestion. Mikel Arteta may decide to rotate his squad in European competition, and he did bolster his options in the January window. But the focus has to be on the Premier League and getting back to the form which saw Arsenal pick up 50 points from the first half of the season. It would be interesting to know what Kroenke said last night, but it's clear from the Arsenal All or Nothing documentary on Amazon that he fully supports Arteta. The Spaniard has guided Arsenal to a season which has exceeded pre-season expectations so far, and the business end of the campaign could see them win a first title since 2004. Arsenal have been more united this season than they have at any previous stage since the move to the Emirates Stadium, and that unity is needed now more than ever. Thierry Henry urges Arsenal to stay calm in title race. Arsenal legend Thierry Henry has urged them to keep calm after they lost the top spot to Manchester City last night. Arsenal has been chased by City all season, and the defending champions finally claimed the top spot with a 3-1 win at the Emirates. The result means the Gunners have lost 2 and won none of their last 3 league matches, which could be seen as a huge blow to their chances of winning the title. However, Henry believes now is not the time to panic and has urged the Gunners to relax and look to win their outstanding game. Ben Jacobs quotes the ex-striker on Twitter, saying, "They came to your place and beat you. Can you now show you can respond and go to Villa and rectify that? Just stay calm. You lost against a great team. Keep your composure. It doesn't mean everything has to go in the bin. You have still got a game in hand." Henry has been in many title races in the past and won some of them, so he knows what it means to triumph. Most of the current Arsenal players are inexperienced, but they must learn fast and be very confident about what they can achieve for the club. City may have won the game, but we are still in the race and definitely can come back to the top of the standings again if we are serious. Barcelona man Ansu Fati has no interest in discussing Arsenal's interest. Arsenal has been dealt a huge blow in their pursuit of Ansu Fati, with the Spaniard reportedly only seeing himself in a Barcelona shirt. The prodigious talent has struggled to make a name for himself since Xavi Hernandez became the club's manager because he rarely plays for the Catalans. However, he has a long-term deal with them, and the Spanish side isn't thinking about losing the attacker just yet. This means the decision to leave is up to him, and a report on Mundo Deportivo reveals Fati is not keen on leaving the Camp Nou. The youngster is prepared to stay at the club and wait for his chances to come so he can make a contribution. Fati is one of the finest players around now, and the attacker will suit our style of play, considering it's not so far from how Barca plays. However, we will struggle to convince him to leave his boyhood team, especially when there is no guarantee he will be the star man in our group. However, we just need to keep watching because his situation could change in the summer if Barca keeps ignoring him for a regular starting place. I will be uploading daily Arsenal news, so keep your eyes on the channel and don't forget to like and subscribe. I appreciate your support. Peace out.